I'm be honest with you. I'm a very honest person.
You are.
And the reality of it is, y'all are just making it up. and you just
so
you
subjective.
Guys, what the f is subjective?
People are having their kids drink bottled water. Can you believe that?
Oh God.
What do you mean?
Here we go.
What do
Like
you
water,
mean?
like this. Over COVID, I went to the best super spreader events. Never got COVID because I grew up in Wisconsin drinking water out of the tap.
If you're, how can I word this not to offend you?
The 2-year ended because it's a crazy story, but he ended up in a wheelchair, couldn't walk. I was like,
So you left them?
no, I'm gonna do so much more with my husband than I would ever do with my boyfriend. That's because you're my husband. Like, I would do some wild things if I was married with my husband.
You don't give a
That's
f. Why
fair.
should they give a f?
Fair. You're right.
You know.
You're right. My moral is there.
Well, you can't say my moral is there if you're not morally committed to your morals.
I am, but you're human, right? I don't believe people are good. I don't, you can say I'm a good person because I don't, steal, right? I don't cheat. It's like, I don't believe that exists. Nobody is a good person. There's not one person that is a stand-up good person. Doesn't exist.
Jesus turned the water into wine using his magic powers, and they had a rager. They had a rager with the wine. And I'm like, Jesus wants us to party. It's in the Bible. The Bible literally says Jesus wants us to party. That you got to read it. It's probably like
I've read
Leviticus
it.
or something.
No.
If you've never done it, you don't know how you're gonna feel. You don't know how you're gonna react. You don't know
That's
how
the
you're
fun
gonna.
part.
You can imagine it.
Yeah,
You can kind of
you
imagine
can-
it. You never had a fantasy before, Mo? Come on. You never had a fantasy? in
All
your
my
life?
fantasies come true. That's what the difference is. That's why we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
They're the least alpha of all the generations. That's the funny part. They should be Gen Beta. They need to skip over alpha. Gen fucking Beta. They're gonna be the most like
Well, we don't
sensitive.
We don't know that. Welcome to Unattainable. Glad to have you with us and hope you continue to be a part of our family for the foreseeable future. And if so, please hit that subscribe button. I am Mohammad here with my incredible co-host, Zach Evans, and our amazing guests of today, Becca and Ashley. Welcome. How's it going?
Thank you.
Good.
We're going to go with you guys introducing yourself, how old you are, what you do, where you're from, all that good stuff. Becca,
Okay, great.
go ahead.
I am Becca Newman. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Ohio, and I've lived in California for like 4 years now.
Awesome. What do you do?
I'm an event manager for children's birthday parties and an actress as well.
Very nice. That's interesting. We'll circle back to that one. Ashley, go ahead.
So my name's Ashley. I am originally from Napa Valley. I'm 24 years old, and I've lived in LA for about 6 months now.
Awesome. What do you do?
All right, I work in sales
For
for a tech company, Oracle.
nice. Nice. Very nice. Okay. Why don't we talk about the children event planning space that you just mentioned?
Yeah.
What is that like?
It's crazy. People spend so much money on their kids' birthday parties. And like sometimes the kids just cry the whole time. They'll be like 3. And there's cameras in their face and there's so much happening. The kids crying.
This is like little kids.
Yeah, like 3-year-olds.
What's the eldest you would go up to?
We've done like 13-year-old birthday parties before, which are like social butterfly parties. So it's like TikTok influencer vibes. And you like do their makeup and talk about boys.
Interesting. What's the craziest amount of money you've seen people spend on it?
I've seen somebody spend through us on our company $5,000
For kid's birthday that he's
Total.
not even gonna remember.
total.
Like a
And that's not
3-year-old's
even
birthday.
that's not even the crazy one. Sometimes they have like petting zoos with like horses and then they'll like tape unicorns, so it's like a unicorn field. Like they get crazy.
Wait, how much are those?
I don't know because I just show up.
Got
So
it.
we do character involvement. So we have mermaids and princesses, and we'll send them out to people's houses as well.
Interesting.
So you
My
see
dad
this-
was like, "Here's your friends, go play.
right.
There's the backyard. Here's some bikes.
Right?
Fucking figure it out." Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's an experience. I like it. I learned a lot, like how to deal with people. So.
So is that your day job, and then at night you become an actress?
Yes, that is my day job and acting on the side.
Uh-huh. So if there was a gig you had to audition for, or you easily just call your
No,
work?
no.
No.
Work comes first because it
You
pays
just-
the bills.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
I'll act around it.
So acting is just a hobby, essentially.
Pretty much. I love to do it. So
Got it.
the opportunity is there. I'm going to do it.
Got it.
Do you think these kind of birthdays is contributing to the Gen Z becoming soft?
I think that it's definitely creating a culture. Like I was Barbie the other day at somebody's house, and this little girl, she's probably like 5 or 6, she was eating Cheetos, and the other little girl goes, that has artificial food coloring in it. And the 6-year-old like throws it down and like looked so upset with herself. And I was like, I am so nervous for the generation. It's like growing out of this.
That's crazy. That's actually considered. They're technically Gen Alpha. So.
Well, yeah.
They're the least alpha of all the generations. That's the funny part. They should be Gen Beta. They need to skip over alpha. Gen fucking Beta. They're gonna be the most like sensitive.
We don't know yet.
Yo, people are having their kids drink bottled water. Can you believe that?
Oh God.
What do you mean?
Here we go.
What do you
water,
mean?
like this.
Here we go.
Like their kids just they literally go to like fucking Costco. They get like giant packs of water every week and bring them home, and their kids never drink tap water.
Okay.
And literally, okay, I'm gonna tell you guys something. You're not gonna want to hear it, but it's true. I grew up in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. You drink water out of the tap like a man. You don't. Oh, I need a bottle. No. Somebody in the bottled water industry tricked everybody to buy water out of a bottle because they just put big words. Fluoride, contamination. Everybody saw one TikTok video. They just drink water out of a bottle. You know what happened? Everybody's immune system got soft because they're not used to dealing with these toxins, right? Over COVID, I went to the best super spreader events, never got COVID because I grew up in Wisconsin drinking water out of the tap.
The tap water.
Yeah, and now everybody's getting sick, blah, 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 blah. People just get like headaches for no reason. Oh, I have a headache. I'm like, did you fall? Like, did you get hit by a car? No, I just have a headache. I'm like, what do you mean you just have a headache? Like your head just hurts for no reason? They're like, yeah. I'm like, people are getting soft nowadays. That's just my opinion, but.
I agree.
What's your take on like washing produce?
Yeah, what? Rub it on your shirt. You take the apple, rub it on your shirt, you eat it. You know what I mean?
Jesus Christ. Our comments are going to get destroyed, bro.
No, bro. I'm sorry. I don't know.
You got to get rid of the fucking pesticide.
Yeah, you have to. Can be bugs in like strawberries. You can't just wipe a strawberry off.
No, you'll be fine. God made dirt. Dirt don't hurt.
I know. Maybe you're fine, but I think it's like you wash your hands before you eat kind of deal,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's sanitary.
Maybe.
Are you a good salesperson?
I'd say I am. I'm pretty good, yeah.
What is that like? Like, would you... Okay, so I feel like tech sales... Obviously, you guys like sell packages, like enterprise packages to businesses. Is that what you do?
Right.
Okay. So if you were to switch to like selling cars...
Yeah.
Do you think you'd still have the same amount of success?
I think I would, because I feel like it's just pretty transferable. It's just really knowing how to talk to people, how to understand people, and how to kind of just be strategic in the way that, like, if someone objects to something, kind of finding different ways to get your point across to where they'll, like, say yes, or to where they'll kind of, like, you kind of lead them where you want them to go.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this?
About 6 months now.
Oh, okay, so fairly new.
Pretty new, yeah.
What did you do before?
Before I was in commercial real estate.
I feel like you'd make a good amount of money in that, no?
Yeah.
Why'd you leave?
I left because I kind of was just looking for jobs, and I had a few friends who were in the industry recommended I apply, and I did, and I got the job, so I ended up taking it. And I like it, for now. I think I might go back to commercial real estate, if I'm being completely honest. But, it's nice to... I'm definitely learning a lot. I feel like I'm learning a lot of skills that are pretty good.
That's good.
For my future.
I have a question about real estate. Why is it... you see, like, Selling Sunset, even, like... I even see memes about this. It's like, you become a bottle service girl, and then you become a real estate agent, right? It's always, like, especially for luxury properties, it's, like, always, like, attractive girls that are, like, selling these homes. The thing I don't understand is, like, okay, if you're a salesman at, like, a clothing store, right? A guy walks into, like, Gucci, right? Oh, try on this jacket. You try it on. You're like, oh, man, you look really good in this jacket. Like, I could understand how this guy might be influenced. Oh, this like hot girl thinks that I look good in this jacket. Maybe I'll buy it. Other girls will like me, blah, 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 blah. But like, if you're spending like $10 million on a house, like, are these guys influenced by like, oh, like this hot girl said I should buy the house, so like now I'll buy it. Like, you swayed me. But it seems to work because like all the luxury real estate agents for high-end properties are almost always hot girls.
That's true. That's true. I was kind of on the different side of the business, but I've seen it. I mean, I work with a lot of older white men. That's primarily the kind of people I work with. And I'd say it's different for residential than commercial. But I mean, I feel like just in general, being attractive always kind of helps when you're selling. I think it's just kind of a fact of the matter. Yeah.
I think subconsciously the experience is not going to be the same, you know? Because think of it this way. When you go to a restaurant, you go to a higher-end restaurant, right? If a guy waiter waits on you and he's very good at his job, right?
Yeah.
You tip up 20%. But if a hot waiter waits on you, but hold on.
Okay.
And she does a very good job, just as good as the other one did, and you're single, and she flirts a little bit, it is more likely for you to tip 25% as opposed to 20%.
Yeah, but I'm not a sheep, so I'm not going to fall for that bullshit. I know when it's happening. You know?
We're talking about people in general. Of course, you know what's happening, but also it's like there's that part of you that just might do it.
Nah.
There's no way you would do it.
No.
You go to Hooters,
when I first moved to LA, have you guys ever done like bottle service or anything like that?
No.
So I bought a bottle. Have you?
I sold table service, so I wasn't the bottle girl, but I like sold the actual tables.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So bottle service girls, a lot of them are great people, morally sound, whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of them think, okay,
morally sound.
This guy's drunk, right? I'm gonna flirt with him. I'm gonna make him spend a lot of money on a bottle, right? So I've got this bottle. It was like $600, and then it's like tax and tip. They add tax, tip, service charge, and entertainment fee, which are all mostly bullshit charges, right?
Right.
Service charge is the tip. They already put 18% on. Now, normally, I'm like, okay, I'll put a little bit extra on top. I'm not going to tip 20% on top of it, right? So this bottle service girl is like being all flirty. She thinks I'm drunk, but even when I'm drunk, I know what I'm doing. And she gives me like the receipt, and then she puts a big heart around the tip section, right? And I was like, first of all, you overcharged me. You charged me for 2 bottles. I only got 1. And she was like, oh, my mistake. I'm like, no, you did this on purpose. She brought back another thing. I'm like, whoa, you put a bunch of Red Bulls and waters on here that I didn't order. Oh, my mistake. I'm like, no, you're trying to play me, right? The third time she came back again with the heart around the tip. And I was like, this is bullshit. I put a heart around the service charge. And then I wrote 0, like 0 in letters, 0, and then put the amount. I was like, fuck this shit. I don't get tricked by like these little games.
Okay, but question for you. How do you know that service charge is going to the bottle service girl and not the club?
Hey, that's between the bottle service and the club.
Because we have a service charge and nobody gets it.
Then talk to your
Nobody
boss.
gets it except the company,
Yeah,
right?
so H-Wood Group was that way. I don't know if they're still that way or not, but they used to take all the service charge.
Right.
And then the girls would have to go to a client and be like, hey, just so you know, we don't get any of this.
Exactly. So
and the client would be like, I don't give a fuck.
Which sucks. I mean, I deal with it, you know. It's like, yeah, we don't get any service charge, and sometimes they'll tip you and sometimes they won't, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, it can be deceiving if it's not clarified sometimes.
But then to me, in my opinion, that's a problem between you and the company. That has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, that's honestly,
that's like your boss
true.
is robbing
because
you.
if
Like,
the waitresses,
whatever.
If the waitresses were like, yo, we're not working at the venue, then the venue would not have any waitresses.
But that takes a lot, right?
I mean, it just takes, you know, not to be desperate. That's what it takes.
I
and
guess,
people are
but
desperate.
how much do you care, right? Like, I don't care enough to like get everybody together and be like, let's tell them we're quitting if they don't get rid of the service charge.
No, of course,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Because it's like, it's not that big of a deal. Is it inconvenient? Yes.
Sure.
Is it that big of a deal to like start a whole thing about it? No.
Yeah.
You move on with your life.
And that's why the clients shouldn't be penalized. as a result of you
True.
guys not
That's
wanting
true.
to give a fuck, you know?
That's-
So if you don't give a
that's
fuck,
fair.
why should they give a
No,
fuck?
that's fair. You're right.
You know?
You're right.
So, having said that, how long did you work did you work in Orange County?
When?
In nightlife?
I know nightlife in Santa Monica, the Victorian.
Oh, nice. How long did you work there?
Year and a half.
Well, that's a pretty good amount of time.
Yeah, it was a great job. I love selling table service. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
What timeline was it?
It was like 2019. COVID happened.
Do you know
then
DJ CJ?
CJ bartender?
No, he used to DJ at the Victorian.
No.
He DJed there
Maybe.
a bunch of times. So.
2019 feels like 10 years ago.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So you were outside of the podium?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
People hit on you?
Yeah. Yeah, and they always do the, I'll slide you 200 if you get us a table. We're like, all right. See what I can do.
That's funny because I feel like what was that during a time when they had like you guys were sold out or something?
Sometimes there would be a table wrapping up and we kind of just usher them out to get out sooner so that we could get that person in.
Got it. So you pocket the 200.
Right. Usher them out.
Got it.
Close them out. Hey, you got to go.
You gotta
Unless
get
you're
the
going to buy
fuck
another
out.
bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Got to
It's
keep
time
it
to go.
moving.
Interesting.
It's so crazy because bottle service doesn't exist in Wisconsin. I don't know about Ohio.
No.
My friends came and visited one time. I was like, yo, I'll hang out with you guys tomorrow, but like I got a lot of stuff to do tonight, blah, 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 blah. They're like, okay, we're going to Warwick. And I was like, who's going to Warwick? It was like, oh, all of us. I'm like, okay, 5 dudes are going to Warwick. I'm like, you're going to have to buy a table. They're like, no, we're just wait in line. I'm like, y'all aren't good. And they're in like flannel shirts and like jeans that don't fit them because they're from Wisconsin. They don't know how to dress themselves. They need mom to go dress themselves. You know what I mean? And I'm like, y'all aren't going to get in. And they never got in and they were so pissed.
Did you go with them?
No. The next night
he
I
had
took
shit to do.
Yeah. And then the next night we took them to the Abbey because everybody can get in. It's easy. And I wanted to see the look on their faces in the Abbey coming from like Wisconsin, small conservative town. And just like fucking banana hammocks like thrusting on stage, which is very entertaining.
What was their reaction?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't tell them it was a gay club, first of all. They were very surprised. Plus, I always get hit on at the Abbey. And it boosts my self-esteem and confidence and everything like that. So I like going sometimes,
It's a fun place.
That's what I thought. I had a friend. She was like, if a guy goes to the Abbey, he's gay. Hands down.
No.
Hands down.
That's not true.
But that was my point. I was like, I don't know about that.
There's a lot of straight dudes that go there, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun spot. The Abbey is like the only sort of semi-gay place, or I guess in West Hollywood, technically a gay place, that a lot of straight people go to. Like, you can't go to any of the other clubs and be like, yo, like, let's go to this fucking other thing.
Right.
And people would be like, okay. Like, that's just like, doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But the Abbey, people are mostly understandable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Vegas a lot.
Yes, I do.
What is up with that? You just love Vegas now, or what's going on?
Love Vegas. I love music, so I love the DJs. I love partying, so yeah, I should love. I mean, that's a place to do it. Honestly, yeah.
I feel like you are essentially there every single weekend. Like, I don't even know.
Or you just reposting stories from
the last weekend you were in LA.
No, I haven't been in a few months. Last time I was there
months? You were there like last weekend.
No, last time I was there was 4th of July.
That's not true.
I've been twice this year.
So you must have been just like posting shit from Vegas.
Maybe more, but I think twice. Yeah.
I thought you were there like last weekend or some shit like that, or like the weekend before.
No, just posting stuff from other events, other things. Yeah.
Gotcha. You're just making your life seem cooler than it actually is.
No, I mean like actually genuinely doing stuff, but not in Vegas.
Got it. You know what we should do? We should take her posts and then we post it as if we're in Vegas.
Yeah.
Just fucking recycle
That's the thing.
them.
It's called story stealing. Have you guys heard about this?
Yeah.
No.
Guys do it a lot.
Oh,
Yo,
yeah.
I just thought of an app idea.
What?
Do they like record like a screen grab?
What if we sell people's posts? So like they could sell their posts You know,
That'd be actually better.
So we have like the archive of everybody's posts, and then she could like sell it for like $5, and then we like upcharge to like 20.
And the guys could pretend that they're cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys this. Have you guys ever been influenced or manipulated by fake clout? Like you're in LA, a guy says, yeah, I'm Drake's manager, right? Or I'm blah, blah, I'm the owner of the club. And then like it makes you actually more attracted to him. And you figure out later, oh, he's full of shit.
I was never more attracted to them. When I moved here, I was 18, right? Came from Ohio. And I was like, if I'm going to be here, I want to be around the people. Like, it's LA, right? Like, I want to be in that environment. So if I found something out like that, yes, I was more prone to be like, let's go here instead of, like, John's house in Venice, right? Because you want to make connections and you want to experience that. You know, I don't know if it's the same for you, but, like, when you're in Ohio and you think of California, LA, that whole lifestyle, it's like a dream. It's like it doesn't exist. So I think when you get here, it's like, I want to experience it.
Well, I think Zach's life was gradual.
Yeah, I kind of went to Nashville. Then I lived in Vegas for a year.
Okay.
And then I moved here.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's just crazy to me. Because, like, when I used to club all the time, like, back in the day, every single time I went out, there'd be one girl that met, like, Drake's manager. And I'll do, like, one Google search. I'm like, that's not Drake's manager. Like, are you dumb? Like, what do you, like, are you this easily? You want to hear the craziest one? So, actually, our mutual friend, she was talking about this guy that she just started dating. She's kind of, like, bragging about him. She's like, yeah, I'm dating this videographer. He has 500,000 followers, right? So, look at his post. First post is, like, 17 likes and 2 comments, right? Next post is, like, 23 likes, 7 comments. I'm like, these are obviously fake followers, right? It's like, oh, my God, I didn't even know. But the crazy part is, a week later, I overheard her talking to her friend. And she's like, yeah, I'm dating this videographer. He has 500,000 followers. And I'm like, you know they're fake, but you don't even care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the fake clout is just as good because she can still brag to her friends about dating some guy with a bunch of followers, blah, 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 blah. It's just like so crazy to me.
It's crazy how people also just, they believe so much. And it's like, I don't know, for me personally, whenever someone tries to almost overcompensate by, just saying, I have this, I do this, I kind of like see through it. And it's like, I want to have like a real conversation with you. I don't really care about like what car you drive, this or that, And yeah, I feel like you always have to take it with a grain of salt because it's like, people do that here.
So let me ask you this. Do you not care at all what kind of car they drive?
It's not
Or is it just
necessarily
not
that.
that
It's
important?
more that if they're like sitting there having like a 45-minute conversation with you about their car, I think it's just like, what's really going on here? You have to start to question like, all right, this is not normal. Or,
Usually they lack substance.
Exactly.
So all they got is the materialistic.
And it does work. It works on
items.
a lot of people, so that's why they do it. But yeah, I feel like after living here, you kind of learn to weed out those kind of people.
What's your type?
What's my type?
Yeah.
That's a great question. Give me like a little, like, what do you mean by like my type? Like,
Do you generally go for the same type of guys, or is it different all the time?
I'd say it's different. For me, it's more so like how we get along, like if we click our personalities. That's like a huge thing, like the vibes. Yeah, I'd say it's not really like cut and dry. Like I go after the same guys all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It just really depends.
What would be those vibes? you
Those
would be looking
vibes,
for? Yeah.
just I feel like people that are kind of like me, like more inquisitive, like they like to have real conversations. They're not just sitting there talking about I don't know, the same thing, or they're actually curious in like they're engaging in conversation. Like they're not just sitting there like, I don't know, trying to like you can tell they're engaged, like they're genuinely curious about you. I think that's like a nice thing to.
Any physical attributes you care about?
That's That's a good question. I guess, like, I don't know, tall. Honestly, it's not really, like, there's nothing in particular that's like pretty good body. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
How tall? What's the shortest you'd ever
The
consider?
shortest. I mean,
What are you like 5'4"?
I'm 5'2",
5'2"?
so I don't really have to worry about height. It's not like a.
Well, I mean, if the guy is 5'4",
It's not
that's
a make.
okay.
It's not make it or break it for me. I'd say 5'4" is like definitely too short. Like, yeah, anything above like 5'6".
So if Kevin Hart was like, "Yo, let's go," that's like a no.
Well, he's really funny, so I mean.
Oh, so you could be short and funny, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And also rich and fucking top comedian in the world.
I mean, yeah.
So then that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
So for any super short men, just become super successful.
That, I mean, probably not.
Probably not what?
Probably. I mean, like if someone's like my height, like that's pretty short. I'd say no. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? 5'6"?
Like someone to be like a little
5'7"?
taller than me.
Can't
Yeah.
be dating no leprechauns out here.
Yeah. A little taller. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you have height requirements?
No. I just want somebody that's like not self-absorbed, can have a real conversation, is like genuine, cares about things other than what you have or yourself or your image and all. Like I can't do shallowness. I can't do it.
So 5'2" and super into you. Just see, everybody has a fucking. Everybody's full of shit. Isn't that crazy? Like they just like you all like say things, but it's like not true. Like if nobody pressed on what you guys say, it's like it would be like, oh, like this is what we like, and it's just like everybody like confused because a guy walks up to you, he's like 5'2", and he's be like, you know, you said that you'd be interested in me, and you're like, but no.
No, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm interested in you if I'm not interested in you, right?
Well, no, obviously.
Like, okay, if you're 5'2" and your personality makes up for it, I would hope that I could be attracted to you despite your height, right? If I'm not, that sucks. But physical attraction is extremely important in my book.
Of
right?
course, as it should be.
Right. So, you know, it's like, what do you care about more?
What do you care about more?
I care more about personality, but why should I have to settle? Why can't I find somebody who's not 5'2"?
I had a conversation with my mom about this the other day. Because my mom's from Wisconsin, very conservative, right? And she's like, Zach, in LA, you always date like models and actresses, blah, 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 blah. You should focus more on like personality. And I destroyed her entire argument in one fell swoop. No response, right? I was like, okay, Mom, do there exist hot girls with good personalities? And she's like, well, of course, yeah. I'm like, okay, so if I have the choice between a hot girl with a great personality or an ugly girl with a great personality, like, of course I'm going to choose the hot girl with a great personality. Right. And I told her a lot of girls get, like, demonized for, like, liking guys with money. And I think it's the same way. I'm like, okay, is there guys with money with great personalities? Yes, okay. So if you date a guy with money and a great personality, or, like, some broke dude with a good personality, like, of course you're going to choose the rich dude, not because you're a gold digger or blah, blah, blah. Like, you're trying to out there for the money just because it's like, yeah, why not get best of both worlds if you can, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's my point, right? Like, why should I have to settle for the 5'2" guy that has a good personality when I could find a 5'6" guy with a great personality? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like, why is it black and white? Why is it one or the other?
Because if you're, how can I word this not to offend you?
Oh boy.
Everybody has to. Okay, so for women, they date up. Okay, for men, they tend to date down or equivalent, right? The problem is with women, they want to date way up. And that's what ends up sort of make it harder to actually achieve that goal, because then you have all these other men who are like in between, and they're just like, we can't find women.
That's so subjective.
But it isn't.
Subjective, but it is, because there are plenty of women. I like to think that I'm one, that you don't have to be like the most elite man, that I've met in all of my years of exploring men. You know what I mean?
How many people have you dated?
I was in a relationship for 4 years, and then I was in another one for 2 years.
Okay, so 2 relationships.
Yes.
Why did they end?
The 4-year ended because I moved here.
Okay, that was in Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay.
The 2-year ended because it's a crazy story, but he ended up in a wheelchair, couldn't walk. I was like,
so you left him?
No, I didn't leave him because he was in a wheelchair. He told me to go.
So you left him?
He told me to leave him.
Oh my God. You know what's
I
crazy?
Stayed. He told me to leave.
This is a conversation I had with my ex when I said, I was like, hey, listen, there's like few scenarios that like if these things happen, obviously like you're welcome to get the fuck out. And because like, I skydive and I do a lot of like different sports and shit. So there's a possibility that like, I become crippled or fucking, useless or potato at some point in life. So, and it was like, yeah. So like, if something like this happens, you're welcome to leave, whatever. She was like, oh no, I would never do that. Never. Obviously it's a lie. Cause when push comes to shove, when you look at your life and you're like, oh, I've got another like 20 years in front of me. And that 20 years is like your youth. You know what I mean? Like if you're like 25, you're like, okay, 20 to like another 20 years, like 45. And you're just like, oh, I don't want to like waste these like 20 years. You're like, I'm out, sorry. Like it sucks. But the reality of it is you felt relieved.
No,
and I know you probably don't want to admit it right now. Like you're not going to admit it.
No, because you're missing the whole thing. When it's the right person, you want to stay with that person. You want to make it work. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It's like, I love you. I'm willing to like live this life with you because I love you that much, right? And I don't want to live this life without you. But the thing with having somebody who's like crippled or in a situation like that, there's so many mental things that come with that, right?
Sure.
Depression,
of course,
suicidalness, like all these heavy things.
Yeah.
And I think if they don't have a good support system around you, that's all going to land on you. Right. And so I think it's not so much I'm not being with you because of this. I'm not being with you because you're saying it's more healthy for me, because you can't be in a healthy relationship. You can't love yourself the way you are right now. So you can't love me properly as much as I love you, as much as I give you.
But what's the point of through sickness and health if you can't get through the fucking sickness?
Oh, for sure. But that's marriage. It's completely different.
So here's
dating.
why that's bullshit. And I'll tell you why that's bullshit. The biggest problem with the way that people date nowadays is that dating in everybody's mind is temporary. However, when you start dating someone and when you say, hey, we're in a relationship, you are committing to that person. To me, there shouldn't be this stage of like, oh, stage 1, like date someone, stage 2, commit to them, but only if up until you get married. Because at the point where you decide to commit to somebody and be in a relationship, you're actually deciding that, hey, like I trust you. I'm going to do my best to make sure that you're safe. I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to make you happy. I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to make sure that you're satisfied, etc., etc. What is marriage supposed to do that's different all of a sudden? Like what a piece of paper is bringing that you don't have in a relationship? What is that step that's all of a sudden making it different afterwards?
I think for me, I'd never had it. My parents are divorced. So I struggled with not believing in it at all. But I think it's more of like you're committing yourself to that person fully, right? When you're married,
wasn't fully before?
No, I mean, for me, I'm dating for marriage, right? If I'm dating somebody, I'm dating to get married to you in the future.
Sure.
If that's not in the future, I don't want to waste my time because I want to be married, right? The reason I want to be married.
What is the difference between married yesterday or married tomorrow and wasn't married yesterday.
I won't live with somebody I'm not married with. Period. So that's a big difference.
That's the difference
That's
for
a,
you.
I mean, that's
you,
big difference, but it's also, it's like, I'm your wife, like wife, girlfriend. If you're somewhere, right, and he's like, this is my girlfriend, you're like, oh, okay, girlfriend. He's like, this is my wife. You're like, oh, they're together. Like, they're together. You know, it's just like.
Yeah, but nowadays there's no difference. You have an out both ways.
I disagree. I think there is a difference.
Yeah, I think there's a difference too.
What's the difference?
It complicates things more. Like,
on paper it does.
yeah, on paper,
but morally and ethically, it's the same thing.
No, but also even like the social like, okay, I used to be very against like actually having a wedding and getting married, because I'm like, well, we're gonna spend fucking $15,000. Like, we could just have a party with our friends. Like, why we have all our friends? We go to the church and then we go to reception, blah blah blah. But I think it's actually important, because once you do that shit, now if you break up with each other, it's like embarrassing. It's like, yo,
deal.
it provides another barrier to the relationship from breaking up, right? Like, if I just date a girl, I introduce her to my family, and then we break up 6 months later, my family, oh, they broke up. If I get married, we have this big thing. All my family flies out to LA. Now when it's like times are getting tough, now you're going to have another thing to think about. Okay, am I really going to like end this relationship? And then my whole family is like, yo, you fucked up. And then like deal with all this shit. And then there's lawyers involved. It's like, it puts another barrier to the relationship.
As much as that should be true, the reality of it is the divorce rate hasn't been this high in ever.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, and that's because what you're saying, nobody gives a fuck.
I think it's just romanticized, and it's never enough. It's like, oh, I want to get married because like that's what people do, and then you do it and you're still unhappy, right? It's like marriage isn't going to make you happy. It's not a magic wand. It's not going to fix anything. And I think people expect that. So 2 years into the marriage, you know, they're looking at other people. It's not what they thought it would be. And so they run and things get crazy, right? It's like you have to go in with the mindset of like, why are we getting married, right? Like, to me, I want to commit myself to you in front of God, in front of our family. Because if I break up with you, like you're saying, it's a big difference. And like, we got a divorce.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
that's
so
heavy.
Had this situation with the guy getting injured happened while you were married,
I'd be with him 1,000%, no matter what.
you wouldn't have left.
No.
He says, "Get the fuck out. I'm
No,
filing for
that's my husband.
divorce.
That's my husband.
I'm filing for a divorce." You're in court. You're telling the judge,
You're not
"Fuck
divorcing
no."
me. No, you're not
I ain't
divorcing me.
leaving.
You're stuck with me.
Uh-huh.
It has to be mutual, and it's not mutual. So figure it out.
Interesting. You said you won't move in
No,
think that's a
until
mistake.
you get married. Why is that? Why wouldn't you move in?
it's my like religious aspects.
Which is what?
I'm a Christian.
No, I know that. Well, I mean, thanks for clarifying, but
You're welcome.
I suppose everybody else didn't
Very
know.
welcome.
But no, why? What's religious? What's religion got to do with you moving
I
in?
don't. Wait, when you live with somebody, it's very intimate, right? Like, you know that person like the back of your hand, and you should know that person like your back of your hand if you're gonna get married to them.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. But again, it's like that's a deep bond when you live with somebody, and I think there is value in waiting to do that, right?
Okay, but you think that a piece of paper changes?
I gotta get off the piece of paper.
But it is a piece of paper. The only thing that changed if okay. If you and your boyfriend were the only two people left on the planet. Okay.
Okay.
And you were like, "Oh, like we're hanging out and we're like, you know, dating. And we're together. Like we're just the only two people."
Okay.
Right? Would you say to him, "Well, sorry, like we got to get married otherwise I can't."
I mean, that's such an extreme situation. Like, I don't know
it's
what I'm
the
gonna
only
feel
si-
when the
but-
world's
but
ending.
Here's the thing: it's the only situation because this situation is between two people. The intimacy is between two people. Nobody else really matters. Other people don't exist. It's just a matter of perception.
But that's in theory land, bro.
What
in real
theory,
life,
man?
Right.
people care what other people think about them.
Facts.
People care about, I don't want to be embarrassed. People care about what.
As you say, the sheep does.
I'm not saying me. I'm saying all the other people in the world.
I understand.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, as you say, the sheep does.
Yeah.
So, but the reality is, other people don't matter. The only commitment you have is between you and the other person. How you feel within you, in your mind, is that I'm committed to this person. I want to spend the rest of my life with this person. I trust this person, and vice versa. If it's true both ways, then a piece of paper shouldn't change anything.
I think it just comes down to what you want, right? Like if you don't want marriage because you don't want that like serious commitment. I mean, come on, that's a serious commitment as opposed to we're dating. It's just, it's deeper. It's marriage, right? If you don't want that, yeah, you're going to look at it that way and be like, why would we do that? It's stupid.
No,
but if
I
that's
don't
something
even...
that you want, if that's something like you want that deep connection with somebody that's like, you're tied, right? Like sickness and health, all that fun stuff. You know, it's like, if you want that, then you're going to pursue that. You're going to do that.
I'm not against marriage at all. That's not what I'm saying.
Sounds like it's what you're saying.
No.
What do you mean?
I'm not against marriage. What I'm saying is people take marriage as if it should change something after you're already in a committed relationship. That as if it somehow adds a moral and ethical step that gives your current relationship some extra trust or some extra commitment, and it just shouldn't be like that. If I say to you, I'm going to marry you, those words should mean something.
Absolutely. But I'm going to do so much more with my husband than I would ever do with my boyfriend. That's because you're my husband. Like, I would do some wild things if I was married with my husband. If it's my boyfriend, like, there's boundaries I have set. There's, like, things that I'm like, no.
Wait, what are the wild things?
We're not going there.
You mean like those kind of things?
Just, like, anything in general.
Are we talking about sexual things, or are we talking about,
we like travel to Japan together? Like
No, sexual things.
Oh, okay.
So you don't even have sex before marriage, is what you're saying?
I try not to.
Try not to.
I try not to.
Uh-huh.
My effort is there. My moral is there.
Well, you can't say my moral is there if you're not morally committed to your morals.
I am, but you're human, right? It's like
you're human.
I know, but
and other people are
that's
human.
like saying I don't smoke nicotine. You go out and you drink and you hit the nicotine, right? It's like you still
Actually,
carry
you know what?
that
The term
moral.
should be different. You're not human. Humans should be committed to the words they utter.
Absolutely.
And the problem is, if you're not, you're less of a human. I think that should be the new word.
It's one way of looking at
A
it.
perfect human would be perfect.
There's no such thing.
An imperfect, well, you could come very close.
Oh.
You know,
it depends on who's defining it. Like everyone could consider a perfect human a multitude of different personalities.
What's a perfect human to you?
I don't really think a perfect human exists.
Well, what would be a perfect human?
Jesus.
That's I would say. I mean, I feel like this is something that could go on for forever.
You got time. You got 20 minutes.
A perfect human, I'd say that someone's, that's pretty giving, cares about other people, tries to be the best version of themselves, has a moral compass, and, gives back.
I'm sitting right across from you.
Yeah.
Can I say something that's gonna be really controversial?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I don't believe people are good. I don't you can say I'm a good person because I don't, steal, right? I don't cheat. It's like I don't believe that exists. Nobody is a good person. There's not one person that is a stand-up good person. Doesn't exist. People lie. People make mistakes. People disrespect people.
But you can still, let's say you did like 50 bad things and then you did 100 good things. It's like, okay, you're still in the black. You're still a good person overall. You don't think that's a good person? Like, let's say, like, when I was 5, I stole $5 from my mom, but then I gave like $100 to charity later in life. Then I'm like, okay, I'm up $95 in terms of like, maybe with inflation up like $75.
Yeah, but technically speaking, you still hurt that one person.
Right.
And
then I helped
pain still exists.
like hundreds of children in Africa. So it's like,
I don't think that doesn't go accounted for, right? That's amazing. That's awesome. But at the end of the day, you're still going to do bad things. You're still going to hurt people, whether the intent was there or not.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because this is interesting. So I understand, like, if you make a mistake, right? And it's like, oh man, like, let's say the smoking example, right? and you're like, I'm never gonna smoke again, and you're out at the bar, you take a couple drinks, and then you like hit your vape, and you're like, oh fuck, like I shouldn't have. You're right. But then it's kind of another thing if you're like, yeah, I'm not smoking, but I know I'm gonna do it again. Then it's kind of like,
Absolutely.
you know you're gonna do it again. So then like it's almost not like the morality isn't even there because you're like, oh, I'm gonna try not to do it again, but I know I'm gonna do it. You're kind of like accepting that fate.
Absolutely. And then that comes down to like self-discipline and like, do you really care about that? Right? Or are you just saying that you care about that because you know it's the right thing, but you can't do that in yourself?
I think there's also like the unintended consequences of your actions. Like every action you have, you know, there could be some little thing, like for instance, like, oh, I want to go get my car washed today for my friend, just as a nice gesture. But yeah, then you could argue like, oh, you're wasting water for no reason, or you're, you know, it's not like so simple.
And another angle to that is when you, for example, stole that $5 from your mom.
Yeah, I didn't actually, by the way.
No,
Mom,
hypothetical incident,
I
obviously.
would never.
Yeah, but let's say you stole that $5 from your mom,
Yeah.
right? And your mom only had $5 in her bag, right? And she thinks she still has that $5, and she goes out to buy, goes out and she's like doing stuff, but she's like super thirsty, right? And then she goes to like buy water, and then she realizes that she doesn't have any money. And then on the way back, she like gets in an accident and like becomes crippled as a result of the fact that you just stole $5.
No, but that's not a direct result. That's just
Indirectly, of course, yeah.
yeah.
You know, but then, you know, there are tons of, but that's the thing. There's the tree could go on forever because so many different roots could all of a sudden open up from that one thing that you just did.
Yeah, but that's like the law of attraction bullshit, manifestation, blah, blah, blah.
Well, it's not
blah,
bullshit. It's the truth. It's the reality of how the world works.
No, because what if me stealing the $5 caused my mom to leave the grocery store early and she didn't get in an accident? Maybe I helped her. Like, there's no
Possibly.
way you could have known.
Possibly,
You know what I mean?
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. But when you can know, then you could actually kind of work it backwards to the exact cause and root of the whole issue.
Maybe.
You know.
Do you guys believe in manifestation?
No.
Law of attraction?
You don't believe in manifestation, but you believe in religion.
I believe in God. I don't believe in religion. I believe in God and Jesus and having a relationship with them. It's a big difference.
How do you not believe in religion?
Because
Go.
religion is like, you know anything about the Pharisees in the Bible?
Explain for those who don't.
Okay, so the Pharisees in the Bible were, you know, the people who followed all the Jewish laws that Moses was given, right? And Jesus came and he went off on them, basically. He's like, you claim my name, you're trying to do all these things, but you're judgmental. Like, you have no love in your heart, and it's just about following these laws and these, like, systems, right? That, to me, that's religion. It's following laws, following systems. You have to go to church every Sunday, you know, like, you have to, all these, like, rules and regulations. That's religion. A relationship is, hey, I believe in you as a creator who created me. I believe you have a purpose for me. I want to discover that. I want to learn what it's like to walk my life with you in it, despite all the laws, right?
So the laws of the religion you claim you don't follow? Okay, so
no,
then
I
if that's
follow
the
them.
case,
I follow.
you
like,
just
I
pick
go
and
to
choose
church.
what you follow?
No,
It sounds like you pick and choose what you follow.
No. I think it's all a personal discovery, right? There's Christians that I know that, you know, have sex before marriage without having any conviction about it, right? Or, you know, go out and party every day and have no conviction about it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, you don't have a relationship with God. That's not my place. Like, Jesus is patient with you, and he works on your heart the way he wants to work on your heart.
People ask me if I'm Muslim. And my answer is that I was raised a Muslim. I was born a Muslim. But because I don't practice what Islam states you should practice, I can't consider myself a Muslim. I have friends who this is a funny one. I have friends who during Ramadan don't drink. So like right before the day of Ramadan, they'd be like, yo, let's go, let's get like a table at the club, fucking like fuck it up. Drink, fucking go crazy. The next day, Ramadan, nothing. No drinking. Until the last day. And then the next day, when the Ramadan is over, bro, I haven't drank for a month. Let's go. The fuck?
At least there's effort.
What? No, that's it's called hypocrisy. No. That's what it's called. There's a name for it.
To a viewpoint, right? It could be that to a viewpoint, but it could also be like, at least they're dying to themselves during that extended period of time. At least they're even trying or even willing to do that to connect with that higher power, right? Like, I think that's honorable.
You know why nobody gives a fuck about second place? Because there's first place. And so everything after that, nobody gives a shit about. You can't just say that, like, oh, like, I tried, like, this is the best I could do. Nobody gives a fuck. If you can't do your best, don't do it. And the best should be, this is right in front of me. You should be able to do it. If other people can do it, you should be able to do it. It's not rocket science. It's not that difficult to go to church. It's not that difficult to pray 5 times a day. It's not that difficult to fast during Ramadan.
But why are you doing it?
It's not that difficult not to drink. Because you don't give a fuck. And people don't want to admit that. People don't want to admit that, like, hey, like, honestly, I just don't care about these things.
Then don't do it.
Yeah, but you still want to get credit for the fact.
Oh, for sure.
Somebody, when they ask you, you're like, oh, I'm a Muslim, man. Like, I'm like the best Muslim there is. But, like, I also don't give a fuck.
Oh, absolutely. I know this Christian man. Maybe he does have a relationship with God. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But I don't see that in him. He's not a nice guy. He does a lot of awful things to a lot of people, right? But he'll post Bible scriptures on his story every day. And it's like, what?
When I was in Nashville, there was this church that I went to because I was trying to hook up with this girl. And it had, like, it was literally like TED Talk and then rock concert in this fucking mansion of a church. And I was like, wait, I thought it was like give the money to the poor. Like, they have like a whole sound system. It was like a full-on rock concert. And it was just so crazy to me that, like, give money to the poor, be a good person. And this is what they're spending their money on. It kind of made me be like, yo, I feel like a lot of this is just made up, you know?
Absolutely. It's all corrupt. It's all corrupt. But that's my whole point. Discover it for yourself, that personal relationship with a higher power. Meditate. Do those things. But don't tie it to churches like that and, like, all the things that you hear. Because it's all corrupt.
So let me ask you this. This is always something I've been confused about. Like, because I was born, like, very Catholic upbringing, blah, blah, blah. So if I own slaves, would you say I'm a bad person, hypothetically?
So subjectical. I would say no, because that was a normal thing back in that time.
Oh,
if you owned
I did not see this conversation going that way.
That's the truth. If you had a slave right now, I would definitely be like, yo, what are you doing?
But that's the crazy part in the Bible. I don't know if you guys know this. There's one sentence in the entire Bible that says you shouldn't have sex before married. And they don't even say don't have sex before marriage. It was like, thou shalt not be unclean before thy wedding day. It's some like vague, like, what do you really mean by this? There's an entire chapter on how to treat your slaves properly. I'm dead serious.
What is it?
I don't know. I just remember Googling it. It's literally like, if your slave steals, chop off his hand. If your slave runs away, cut his feet off. If your slave does this, chop off his eyeballs. Like, it's like all this shit about like how to treat your slaves properly. This is real. You got to Google it. I'm serious. And that, because I was trying to figure it out. That was the moment when I was like looking at my parents like, are you sure this shit is real?
I don't know. I read the Bible every day and I've never read that. I'm gonna look it up. I have.
Oh.
I have. I read the Old Testament.
You gotta start watching YouTube videos about it. Oh my God. I've watched a lot of TikTok, so I consider myself an expert on the subject.
Okay.
Ashley, are you religious?
I'm not religious, no.
Why is that?
Yeah, both my parents actually aren't. My dad grew up in the South, and he grew up around like a lot of the evangelists, and it was just he had some pretty bad experiences with religion, and it didn't quite add up for him, it didn't quite make sense. So he wasn't really religious throughout his life. And then my mom, both her parents are Christian, very, very religious. But for her, it was kind of like the same thing. And the thing that they always teach me is to just kind of be a good person. Like with every religion, you can take something away. And I think it's more of like a moral aspect where they're coming from. But as far as religion goes, I was never raised like very religious. And as a person, I'm not very religious, I think.
Do you believe in God, or what do you think happens when we die?
I don't really believe in God, no.
You think this is it? Just fucking black after?
I don't know, honestly. And I think that's okay. I don't think you necessarily have to know. And yeah, I mean, I think, while we're here, let's live life to the fullest, because it's a fact. It's something that we do know, that we're here on this earth. And yeah, I think what happens after, none of us truly know. So, I mean, yeah, you can believe whatever you want, but, yeah, I mean, I guess for me, it's just, I don't think one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Who do you trust most in this world?
Yeah, as like a person.
Yeah.
Let's see. I would say,
like whatever they said you'd believe.
What do you mean?
Like if they said fucking this water is like bad for you, and you'd be like, oh wow, like I'm not gonna drink it anymore. like if they said the bottled water is bad for you, you shouldn't drink it. You'd be like, oh wow, like I believe you.
I don't necessarily think there's anyone that
there's not a single person you blindly trust.
I don't think so. No, I don't. I think I'm just too curious for that. I question everyone, everything, and I develop my own opinions. I don't necessarily just like, if someone tells me something, okay, that's what you think, but I'll figure it out for myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The crazy part, speaking of water, so a lot of people don't know this. A lot of like Christians are like, I don't want to party because it's bad, blah blah blah. Like my brother like doesn't drink at all because he's like, I'm Christian, blah blah blah. Jesus, this one time, this is in the Bible too, you gotta look it up. Literally, they're all being sober. They're like, Jesus, like, we want to have a sober day with you, Bible study, blah blah blah. Jesus turned the water into wine using his magic powers, and they had a rager. They had a rager with the wine. And I'm like, Jesus wants us to party. It's in the Bible. The Bible literally says Jesus wants us to party. That you got to read it. It's probably like Leviticus
I've read it.
Or something.
No, I've read it multiple times. It didn't quite happen that way. They were at a wedding. It was a family wedding. They had wine. They ran out of wine. This was Jesus' first miracle, actually. And Mary, Jesus' mother, comes up and she's like, we ran out of wine. Jesus, like, fix it. And he's like, no, like, it's not my time yet. And the exact words in the Bible, the translation is, if not now, when? So Jesus turns the water into wine. And they did. They partied. They had a great time. So I think it's very controversial. I've heard Christians say that it wasn't wine that we drink, like alcoholic wine. It was just like grape juice. I don't believe that. I believe it was wine. I do. And I think there's a point to where it's like, for me, my belief, it's okay to have a drink. It's okay to drink. Don't get to the point to where you're not in control of yourself anymore. That's what I believe. Because once you're past that, you're not yourself anymore. You're bending your morals, right? You're doing things you normally wouldn't do if you were sober. And I think that's where the issue can lie.
I can't really relate, so I don't know what you're talking about, but...
Well, thanks, Mo.
I'm just saying. I don't, but... I think people bend their morals on a daily basis, and the next day, all they do is just feel bad for themselves. And then 2 days later, they just forget. Yeah. And then 3 days later, repeat.
I believe that.
All right, what about this one? What if somebody is born, like, I'm assuming you're a Christian because your parents were Christian. They told you to believe in
No, I backlashed. I was like, I don't want a part of this. It's so hypocritical. I don't want anything to do with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I ran away from it. I moved out here at 18, did the whole thing, went
Party it up.
exactly, hit a pretty low, like suicidal low, and I got to the point where I was like, I hope this isn't it, right? Like, because I don't care about how much money I'm around or whatever is in my life. It's not enough. Like, I need something more. I need to have a purpose. I just need more, right? So I found God that way by praying and crying out and saying, I'm going to have faith in you and trust you that there's more than this. And so it's not so much the religion that they taught me. The religion that I taught was hypocritical. You know, they say don't judge others, and then they're judging everybody. And it's like, I hate that. I hate that, right? So again, it goes back to the personal relationship and not so much the religion aspect of being brought up in it.
So let me ask you this then. If you were born, let's say you're born in the Middle East, your parents were Muslim, you grew up reading the Quran, all that stuff. Then you had the midlife crisis, you partied, you got it all over your system, you hit a low. Then when you went back to God, do you think you would go back to God, or do you think you would end up going to Allah?
So my ex was Muslim.
Okay.
Yeah. He was
The 2-year one or the 4-year?
2-year. He was Muslim. And he was agnostic for the first year and a half. And then he finally was like, I believe in Jesus. I believe this is real. And so I don't know. I think it's a personal thing that you go through. I don't know what changed his mind. I don't know why he didn't go back to Allah and the things that he was brought up in. But he just figured it out for himself. And he was like, I believe this is true for these reasons. And that's that, right?
But do you guys talk a lot about religion together?
Yeah, I would mention it. I would never push it on him because, again, I don't like that. Like, believe what you want to believe. Let me believe what I want to believe. But if you ask me a question, I'm going to give you what I think is the truth answer.
So if you guys were ever like get married and have kids, like how would that work with religion?
So I told him, I was like, I want to read the Bible with my kids. You know, I believe the Bible is true.
Yeah.
You know, and he was totally cool with that. He was like, I'm down for that. So as long as it's like a mutual respect, I
think it matters.
Yeah, you know.
That's good. That's good that you guys like, you know, had that conversation.
Absolutely. He was so important to me.
So would you say that your husband gets to experience all the crazy shit you're capable of doing as a result of you going crazy in your early adulthood?
I think that made me grow in maturity living that
I'm talking
life.
about the sexual stuff.
Oh. No, because I was never that crazy sexually ever. I always had that aspect.
Then wait, you're promising your husband that you're going to do all this crazy shit that you've never done before? I'm confused.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, that's logical.
How is that logical? That's like fake advertisement.
How?
No, because you could know, okay, once this happens, now he's going to tie me up.
She doesn't know what she's talking about.
No,
she's never done it.
Because you've never done it, you know what it is. You can say, okay, I will do this at some. It's like if I was like, hey, Mo, if you like give me that like fucking whatever you're selling me, I'll give you $250. And then, oh, how do I know you're going to give it to me? Well, then you give it to me, I'll give you $250. It's like
That's not how that works. It's like you saying that I'm going to lift, I'm going to like bench like 250 whenever I like decide to do it. That's not, you got to have practice. You got to start from the bottom.
But if you're just doing something like you're open to some other, well, it'd be easier if we had an example. Let's say somebody had an example. They're like, oh, I want to be tied up and like BDSM, stuff like that. Let's say. Okay. Well, that's not like hard to do. Just like you just get tied up. Like, what do you mean?
But also, if you've never done it, you don't know how you're going to feel. You don't know how you're going to react. You don't know how you're
Yeah,
going to...
but you can imagine it.
Yeah,
you can kind of imagine it. You never had a fantasy before, Mo? Come on. You never had a fantasy in
All
your
my
life?
fantasies come true. That's what the difference is. That's why we're having this conversation.
That's a good one.
Oh, boy.
It's more so like from where you're coming from, it sounds like you're like, you'll try it. You'll like type thing.
Yeah, I want to try it.
And it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to like it, either of you, but you're like, you know, you're willing.
Yeah, I want to try whatever he's willing to try, and I have fantasies that I want him to try and see what happens.
What are those fantasies?
You know? We're not going there.
God damn it.
So what, I'm just curious, like why, so like you've had sex before, but like why do you try not to?
Because to me, it's a very intimate thing. Like when I have sex with somebody, it's very intimate. If I give myself to you in that way, it's a big deal. It's not like, I've never been like the casual sex girl, like just not me. I don't get it. Like, you're literally going inside me. Like, that's intimate.
Right.
It's a serious, serious thing. So for me, I don't want to do that unless the relationship, marriage, whatever it is, that's serious. That's going in that direction.
Right. So with your boyfriends, is that like fine or?
Yeah. We had sex, but
Okay.
it took me a long time.
Okay.
Not a long time, but it took me a minute.
To get to that point
to know that
where,
he was
yeah.
on my side.
Right.
Like, he loved me.
Right.
I was like, all right, I know you love me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, can you explain this to me? Because this actually happened to me one time. Kind of similar story. So I go on a date with this girl, and we're getting drinks. She comes in like low cut dress, like she had the fake boobs, the anti-gravity titties that like stay the same no matter which way you turn, like those ones. And the whole date, right? She's like whispering in my ear. She's like touching my leg under the table, like on the date. I'm like, okay, this is like great. This is dialed in. Blah blah blah. Get back to my place. Like, close the door, instantly, like, gets on her knees, like, starts ripping off my pants. I'm like, oh, my God, this is great, blah, blah, blah. Starts giving me the second best blowjob I've ever had in my life. Like, she's rattling through all the best blowjob techniques. I think she saw TikTok top 5 blowjobs to please your man, memorized that shit, and she was doing, like, the twisty hands thing. She was doing the, like, choke on it a little bit to, like, boost my ego, but not so much that it gets weird thing. She's doing the 300 technique. She's doing all these moves, right? So I'm super, you know the 300 technique?
You've said it like 18 times. Like, go ahead.
I know what that is.
Okay.
I'm curious now.
So she was deep throating me like super far and like super hard, which normally it like hits some kind of like bone in the back of their throat and it kind of like hurts a little bit, but she knew how to like, have you guys seen the movie 300?
No.
It's like the war movie, the Spartans and everything.
Never seen
Okay,
it.
so there's a scene in the movie. The dude has the bow and arrow, right? He pulls it back and like, and the bow and arrow goes through the back of the skull of like the enemy. That's what it felt like was happening. It felt like I had to check the back of her head. It was going so far in. It felt like the arrow in that movie. So we call it the 300 technique. So I'm like super turned on, pull out a condom, and she's like, wait. I'm like, what? And she's like, Jesus is watching. We can't have sex. And I'm like, my dick is so far inside your skull that it's rattling around the 2 brain cells in there. That's okay? Jesus thinks that's okay, but we can't have sex? So then I did what any normal straight male would do. Try to convince her if we have sex with a condom, it doesn't count. Because if you're washing your hands with gloves on, you're not really washing your hands, you know?
Oh, boy.
That didn't work. I just jerked off and went to sleep. It's like sometimes Jordan scores 50 and still loses, you know?
Oh, man.
That's a hilarious story.
It's a great story. But why? So
The question remains.
why is a blowjob okay? Or like some girls will do like anal. That's okay.
That's all their journey. That's all their mindset and personal preferences, right? I can't speak about those women. I don't know.
Okay.
I like to give them grace and be like, maybe she means well. I don't know. I don't understand it, but
Becca, listen, you're a lovely person, but I think I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a very honest person.
you are.
And the reality of it is, y'all are just making shit up. and you just...
So
you guys,
subjective.
no, what the fuck is subjective? It's like you guys just like move forward, picking what you like, and you're like, oh, I like this, so this works for me, I'll let this happen, but then the rest of it, no, because I want to keep my innocence and like seem like I come off a certain way and like, oh God. I mean, honestly, do you think God is sitting up there and going, oh damn, like she didn't cross this line, but like she crossed this line, that's okay, I guess. Forgiven for this, forgiven this, forgives, but this one I cannot forgive you.
No.
If
it's all
God's gonna
equal.
forgive you for anything, He'll forgive you for all. And if He's not
Absolutely.
gonna forgive you, He's not gonna forgive you for anything at all.
Absolutely. I agree. There's
So
nothing
either
that
you're
saying...
fucked or you're not.
No, there's a life hack for it. Do you guys know this? Tell me if this is right, because I didn't read the Bible, but I saw a YouTube video on it. So apparently your whole life, right? You sin, you have sex as many times as you want, you can steal stuff, you can do murder people, commit adultery, all this stuff. As long as right before you die, you ask for forgiveness, then you get wiped of all your sins, clean slate, you go to heaven. Is that true? Because I heard that's true.
So the gospel that I believe is You have to admit that you're a sinner. You have to admit that you sin, and you have sin, and your sin is dirty. Okay?
Okay.
Then you have to admit that Jesus came and died for your sins and made you clean.
I'm down for that. Okay.
Right? And then that's it. It's as simple as that.
So
it's as simple as that.
It's as simple as
And
that.
you're forgiven.
But you can take it.
You believe in this bullshit.
Well, you got to be careful because you might die in like an unexpected way.
That you would just ask for forgiveness. You've done every bad thing in the book. And God will just be like, yeah, fine. That's okay.
If you genuinely mean it in your heart, if you really have remorse for that, yes. You have to have remorse. You have to be repentful. Repentful means you want to turn, right? Repent means turn. So you have to be willing to turn from that sin, right? If you murder somebody and you're like, oh, sorry, that was wrong, and then you go out and murder somebody again, you are never actually sorry.
Sure, but let's assume for the sake of this conversation that you repented. So you're telling me that you're sitting in heaven, have murdered fucking 18 people and repented next to a guy who has been the most amazing human being on the planet.
Yeah, but
the two people sitting next to each other in heaven.
Yes. So
listen,
the Bible says that there's like more rejoice over one sinner that repents and turns from their sin than one righteous person, right? Like there's more joy and amazing things in that than one righteous person being right all the time. And it also says that the things that you do up here affect what it's going to be like in heaven for you. So if the murderer, right, might not have a lot as much as the righteous guy who is a pastor and did all these things. He might have more things in heaven than this murderer, but at least he's in heaven with Jesus in peace.
I didn't follow that last bit.
There's things that you get in heaven. I don't know what it is. The Bible says you're storing up your treasure in heaven.
Sure.
Okay?
Points. Cookies. Whatever.
Whatever it
I think
is.
the better you do, the more virgins you get. Isn't that a thing in Islam? Or am I tripping?
Oh, not in so many. There's a passage talking about you could get these things, but what you have to understand is some of these parts of whatever religion there is were given based upon the time and the culture and the people that needed to hear these things. At the time, those people in that area needed to hear that this is the way that you would be able to sort of, be happy in afterlife. Mm-hmm. So it was a sales tactic.
I see.
Right?
I see.
That's essentially what it is. And so if that works for certain people, because that group of people, and really, if you think about it, that's why there is certain religions, certain parts of the world. But you can't, like, this is what doesn't make any sense to me. And that's why I don't believe in particularly one religion, because if that were the case, then what all the Chinese people and the Indians and people in like Australia or Native Americans, what these people going to hell? Because they didn't have access to Mohammed or Jesus? It makes no sense.
No, I've had this conversation before. The Bible also says everybody will experience God. Everybody will experience God and Jesus's love in their life. You can either accept it or you can deny it, but it will be shown in your life.
Those are words. They mean nothing. In reality, a Chinese person who is in some village that had no access to anything, But
again, those are just words.
How would they have been exposed to Jesus?
It happens. It's God. It's God. He created everything. He can make himself known to whoever he wants to make himself known to. Which is everybody.
So how would that show? How would they know, within them?
I don't know. I don't know how it would happen, right? But I would think if I'm in the jungle, right, and I've never heard of anything, I think God can put somebody in that path of me in the jungle and maybe talk about God. Didn't. How do you know that?
Because the people in the jungle have no religion.
That doesn't mean
They've never heard of Jesus.
She's saying, what do they call
a tourist?
The missionaries or something? They're like the people that go and they spread the religion.
Not
they came into the jungle.
Not even that.
Oh, what are you saying?
Let's say I live in the jungle and you're on a vacation.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You believe in God, right?
I'm more agnostic.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the scenario, let's say you believe in God. Okay. All right. I'm in the jungle. You're on this vacation. I haven't heard about Jesus. I'm thinking there's a God.
You were talking about 21st century. I'm not talking about 21st century.
Okay.
When these religions came out, there were no cell phones. There were no TV. Nobody's fucking was able to go to China and be like, yo, Jesus.
Right.
So
the first drop was a long time ago. Yeah.
But that makes it so much more powerful. There's 500 witnesses that said they saw Jesus after he was crucified. 500 witnesses. That's written down on multiple scriptures. Multiple.
Okay.
what makes it more powerful?
Because there's no TV.
So
there's
your argument is that because there's more people that are Christians, that therefore Christianity is...
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. That's not what I'm saying at all.
So what do these 500 people got to do with anything?
They witnessed Jesus after he was crucified, right? And that's documented and documented and documented. So there was no TV. There was no way to like spread the word, right? But after 500 people see some guy come back from dead and just walking around, that's going to get around. Like, you're going to hear about that. 500 people. You're going to hear about it.
To be fair, there's over 500 people in the Flat Earther Society Facebook group. Like, there's like 20,000. Not that I would know.
Seems like you know.
Like, how do you know? Like, there's a lot of people that believe a lot of stuff. Like, there's more than 500 people that think that Islam is the right religion, or like 500 people that think the rain god, the rain god, is the real god, or you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, based on your
fine.
argument, 500 people is going to get around, and if God wanted, these people to like hear about it, they would. I mean, obviously that's not the case, because
in
people
your world.
Didn't. What do you mean, my world? It's
I don't
in this
believe
world
that.
that we live in.
I don't believe that. I believe God is God, and he can make himself known to anybody he wants to make himself known to. You're assuming that. You're choosing that truth. That's your truth. Is that's not possible, and that doesn't happen.
No, I'm not saying that
and
it's
God
not
doesn't
possible.
do that.
It's just it didn't happen.
That's what you believe.
You mean this?
That's what you believe. I don't believe that. I believe that it
There's
did
a cause
happen.
and effect. If that were the case, the Native Americans would be Christian. The people in China would be Christian.
That's not true, because you're not forced to believe it. You have free will. You can choose to believe it, or you can choose to not.
So your assumption is that those people heard about it.
I think they could have heard about it, and they could have accepted it.
You think they could have heard about it?
Yes.
By what technology?
By God. It has nothing to do with technology.
God, before cell phones were a thing, he could talk through the burning bush. He would start a bush on fire. He can talk to you. He can talk through like animals, I think. Can he talk through animals?
Yeah, he talked through
animals.
Donkey.
He can just come in your brain, talk to you in your brain. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
It's like Professor X. Have you seen X-Men?
Are you talking about Noah?
What?
Who talked to animals? Who talked to animals?
No one never talked to animals.
He might have talked to animals.
Or he could have, but it's not written.
Yeah, I don't know if it's written or not. But I'm pretty sure he can just talk to you. Like, he could just come through the chair if he wanted to. I'm pretty sure, right?
Absolutely. He's God, guys.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
he can do anything.
you either have a big God, or you have a small God, or you have no God at all. And I think what you believe comes from those three things. Those three viewpoints.
And you think it's the big God?
I think it's the big God.
Okay. Here's my question. So, if God is all powerful, right?
Okay.
It's God versus the devil, right? All these bad things are happening. How come God doesn't stop them all?
He's going to. Jesus is coming back. That's written.
But I thought God is all powerful.
He is.
So why didn't he stop him already? like, oh, someone got murdered in cold blood. Like, why does he come down? Like, the murder's about to stab him, and then like burning bush comes out of nowhere.
Because we have sin in our life.
Yeah.
If God came back right now, there's a... Oh, this is going to get so complicated. Oh, boy. Okay, so from my belief, if you don't repent, and you don't have a relationship with God, I do think God gives you a chance when you die to be like, hey, do you accept me? But I think it really matters if you accept him right here, right now. So I think he's giving the people a chance right now to choose him. He wants you to choose you. He's not going to force you. He's not going to force you to think about him or acknowledge him, but that's what he wants. He's giving you that opportunity. That's why he's allowing the world to go on right now. And Jesus is coming back. It's all going to end. It's all going to end.
Is it almost like, because, okay, let's say I wanted to murder Ashley, right? I go up. God could stop me, right? He could stop me from murdering Ashley.
Absolutely.
Or he could just let me murder Ashley. So do you think God is more like, it's almost like he created this little experiment, like a video game, Planet Earth, and he doesn't want to intervene because he wants to like kind of like see what happens. Like, he could be like, oh, all this bad stuff's happening. Let me just stop it. Like, pew, pew, pew. Stop everything. But he's kind of like, let me see how it plays out. He's kind of like that.
No, it's so much bigger than that. God's hand is in everything. I believe that if somebody does get murdered, I believe that God is going to make some good come out of that, right? I believe he makes good things come out of the worst situations. I believe it because I've seen it. I've experienced it in my own life. And so that's just like my testimony. That's what I've experienced, right? And again, I believe he's giving everybody a chance to say, hey, I'm right here. Do you accept me? Do you reject me? Do you even acknowledge me? Mm-hmm. And that's all he wants. He just wants you to acknowledge him and to love him the way he loves you.
If God had a Yelp account, do you think he's going to have more happy reviews or like sad ones?
Sad, absolutely. Because of that mindset, which I get that mindset.
How many stars do you think God would get if he had a Yelp account?
I don't know.
I'll
Maybe
give him a 4 stars.
Create it.
I'll give him a 4 star.
4 stars, not 5?
Dude, the world is like pretty sick. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, yeah, there's murder, don't get me wrong, but it's like, how many people are murderers? Like 1% of the population, probably not even.
Uh-huh.
How many people are sociopaths? Other than apparently every guy that girls date in LA, most of the world's not sociopaths. You know what I mean? Like, so like God's doing a pretty good job. I would give him 4 out of 5.
4 stars? Yeah.
How many stars would you give him?
1, 1.5.
Really?
Yeah. But it's not for me. I have a fine life.
Yeah.
You know, the stars would be like for other people.
So would you give yourself less than 1 star? Because how
Myself
much
or
are you
God?
doing for the people of Venezuela? Like nothing.
Well, I don't give a fuck about people of
Well,
Venezuela.
yeah, well, God's doing something for them. You know, he's like pointing the river towards them so they get more water and stuff. I don't know, like, whatever. I don't know.
Who's the river?
Like something.
So, Mo, do you believe in God?
I believe in not knowing.
But Mo believes
And
in
I think
the
and I
universe,
think anybody who suggests they know something is delusional.
Thanks.
I mean, that's just the reality.
No,
Well,
that's
so-
fair. That's
I agree with you on that.
I respect that.
And I think it's funny because one of my friends said something yesterday to me, which was very interesting. He said sometimes Mo needs to come out of his logical head and go into his in a place where you have more faith. And I was like, the problem with that is if you accept everything by just believing in faith, then you're accepting nothing. Because logic allows you to understand things. And when you understand something, you can actually comprehend it. And you could, through that, whether it's helping other people or having more wisdom or having growth, move forward in life. The problem with faith is you're accepting things that you're being told or based upon some sort of an experience that could have been multiple different things, but people don't really want to think it through. And so they come up with this thing. It's called faith. Just so they don't have to really process the information.
I agree with you on that.
All right, I'm going to tell you why Mo's full of shit on this. Mo told me a story one time.
Okay.
He said, I was late to this meeting, and so I'm driving to the meeting, and I'm like, please be a parking spot. Please be a parking. He's praying to the universe. Not God, but he's praying to the universe. Please be a parking spot. And when I got there, there was a parking spot right in front of the building. The universe manifested fucking the magical parking space for Mo. And now he's all over here. Yeah, no, none of this logic.
I don't
blah,
have
blah, blah.
faith. That was you having faith.
That's
You have
not
faith,
quite
just
how
not in
this story
God.
happened. My dad used to say this thing. There are 2 types of people in this world. Ones who touch dirt and it becomes gold, and those who touch gold and it becomes dirt. I have been lucky enough to be the former. I don't manifest parking spots. I mean, that's just crazy. It's just, you took that out of context.
Go.
I just so happen that whenever I am going somewhere, I end up having a parking spot right in front. It just happens every single time. And every single time there are people in the car, they'd be like, damn, how did you get this parking spot? And I'm like, happens all the time. So
what's the logic behind that? Because
but that's the thing. There is no logic aside from the fact that some things cannot be explained. And you have to accept that some things cannot be explained. Because
wait, that's it. You're saying
no.
Do you know the definition of faith?
To do with faith. But it has nothing to do.
Do you know?
Can I explain?
From you.
But it has nothing to do with faith. It has to do with the fact that, which goes to what I explained to her in the very beginning. We just don't know. Some things you can, with logic, explain that this doesn't make any sense. I don't know whether there is a God or not. But I do know religion is bullshit. Because religion has been created for people who cannot comprehend information. They cannot process information. They need something to hold on to. That's what religion is for. It's for people who need to be told that, like, oh, if you do this and this and this, you're going to go to hell, so don't do it. Like a little child. That morals and ethics have to be explained to you, because otherwise you're going to be like a retard running around, fucking acting like you could do whatever the fuck you want, kill people, fucking steal shit, fucking do this and that. And so you have to be told, hey, you're not supposed to be doing it. That's what religion is for. That's what religion was created for, because at the time, people that were in the Middle East were fucking doing whatever the fuck they wanted. They were raping people, killing people, doing this and that. And so religion was born from it. When you talk about Moses, Judaism, right?
Yes.
Then comes Christianity. Then comes Islam. Where is this located? In the same exact fucking place.
Yeah. I want to go back to the faith thing, not the religion thing, though.
Of course you want to go.
She dunked on you, bro.
Do you know the definition of faith? Like if we looked up what the faith definition right now, what it would say?
Believing in something without what's the word I'm looking for? Without evidence.
Yes, exactly. It's believing in something that is unseen.
Sure.
Right. So, have you ever had a dream before? Ever?
I always have dreams.
No, not like I had a dream, but like I want this for my future.
I want this for my future?
I want this for my future.
I have dreams about people dying and people dying the next day. So,
okay.
I've had dreams.
I'm not talking about like a dream. I'm talking about something that you want for your life. I wanted to be an actress.
Uh-huh.
Right? That was a dream of mine. That's what I'm talking about when I say dream.
Okay.
Have you ever had that?
Sure.
Did you have to have faith to believe that could happen? Or do you just thought logically, if I do the right things?
Well, none of my dreams have come true. So technically speaking, I would say I worked hard, but it just didn't end up being the case.
Okay.
What's your point?
My whole point was I think you believe in faith, but I'll actually admitting that you believe in faith.
Because you believe in some kind of magical, supernatural parking spaces force. Like you believe in something. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. It's a ghost.
My mom calls it parking karma.
Parking karma.
That's what she calls it.
Awesome.
But that's the thing. You say that I believe in it. I just believe in the fact that this is a coincidence that keeps happening over and over again.
Think it's a statistical probability that's amplified by your confirmation bias of your brain interpolating when it happens and thinking that it happens.
Very much a possibility. Absolutely.
Oh,
that's the thing. I don't. But see, you go into it saying like, oh, Mo believes in this thing. I don't. I just have noticed that this keeps happening. And is there a possibility that like it has to do with karma and the universe and all this stuff? Sure. But there's also a possibility that it is just statistically what ends up happening because of coincidence.
Well, I have undeniable proof that karma doesn't exist.
Let's hear it.
Where is the karma for the haircut that my mom made me get in 5th grade? I've been having this haircut 5th grade till 8th grade. I got made fun every day. It was like a bowl. They took a bowl and fucking cut her.
We're gonna have to see
never
pictures
got
later.
her karma. She's just living this great life, zero karma her entire life. That's how I know karma's bullshit.
This is the reason why we can't carry on a serious conversation. Zach disrupts the whole thing with all these fucking random ass shit. Although it is good because I need to stop this. We're already half an hour over our limit. So last question, make it quick. Is the green bubble a red flag? You go first.
What's the green bubble?
Someone texts you, guy texts you, the bubble is green.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. Not necessarily. I mean, I guess it could. I mean, I feel like it's just more of like a, I think it's like a society thing where like everyone's like, oh, iPhones, like, you have to have one. But I do see where you're coming from, but I don't necessarily think it's a red flag.
Good. 6'5". Go ahead.
I'm not judging somebody because they don't have a blue text message.
7'5". Let's go.
Okay, hold on.
Let's go.
But you're saying not necessarily, but I'm saying, is it still a net negative, even if it's like 5%? Like, oh, this guy was hot, but like the green bubble's like,
you can't change the game now. You're falling behind.
No,
That's not how it works.
She gave a not necessarily.
She
answer.
said no. Both of them said no.
Like, it's not a deal breaker, but that doesn't mean
Yeah,
it
it's
can't
not
be
a
net
red flag.
negative.
That's it.
I think there's a little truth to that. Like I'll tell you a story. So I was in Vegas recently.
Surprise, surprise.
I met a guy. We were at Tao Beach. We were partying, and the service is notoriously terrible. So I give him, my number. I text my name to him, or he texts me, something like that. And it comes up with the green bubble. And he's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. Like, I have an iPhone. And he made this huge deal about it. And then I remember I was pretty drunk the next day. He's like, yeah, I'm the guy you met where my phone it had the green bubble, and I actually have an iPhone. And he's like, here, I'm texting you to prove it to you. So yeah, he acted like it was a big deal, and I just thought it was funny. I mean, it was pretty memorable, but I'm not sure how much I was like, okay, like it wasn't.
iPhone glitched.
It wasn't a huge deal to me,
That's hilarious. Well, thank you for being the 6th, and thank you for being the 7th.
You're up by 2. You're up by 2.
2.
The
Killing
scammers
it.
are winning. The scammers are winning.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. You guys have been absolutely incredible.
Thank you, Mo.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching.